He was a vigilante and close friend of the Turtles who, inspired by action movies, stepped into the street to beat criminals. However, with time, he would discover that his most powerful enemy was none other than himself. Today, I'll be talking about the original Casey Jones. It's a tough job, but somebody's gotta do it. Arnold Bernard Jones was created by Kevin Eastman and introduced in the Raphael micro-series one-shot in 1985. Initially known as Casey Jones, the character was given a full name for the first time in TMNT number 11 in 1987. The unusual middle name, Bernard, was never mentioned again. The next time his name was updated was during the events of the City at War saga, when his mother revealed his name was Arnold. Since then, his full name has been considered Arnold Bernard Jones, or just Arnold Jones, making it clear that Casey was just a nickname. The name Arnold was a nod to artist A.C. Farley, whose first name was Arnold. The moniker Casey Jones holds cultural significance beyond this context. It was the name of an American railroader who tragically lost his life in 1900, when his passenger train collided with a freight train in Vaughan, Mississippi. According to legend, he stayed at his post trying to slow down the train, resulting in him being the only fatality of the crash. A ballad was released shortly after his death, and he became a part of American history ever since. Ironic that Casey's full name also didn't include the name Casey. His full name was John Luther Jones, and his Casey nickname was an alternate spelling of the town where he grew up, Casey, Kentucky. As for the inspirations behind the Mirage comics character, Kevin Eastman explained that his idea was to create a parody of all the classic comic book vigilantes, like Batman or Daredevil, but instead of being trauma-driven, he decided to make him inspired by bad TV shows, like T.J. Hooker and the A-Team. There were a few original concept designs, but he eventually gave him 2 baseball bats and a hockey mask. At the last minute, Peter Laird suggested adding a golf bag where he could keep all sorts of weapons. Kevin frequently pointed to Jack Burton from Big Trouble in Little China as a source of inspiration for Casey Jones. Although this film was released a year after the Raphael one-shot, it might have influenced the character's development after his debut. As for his personality, April described it as a petulant, mischievous 10-year-old waging a constant war with a somewhat mature, bright young man. Unfortunately, according to April, the 10-year-old won far too often. In his debut, the character was introduced to highlight Raphael's struggles with his anger. This confrontation arose after Michelangelo defeated Raphael in combat, leading to a furious reaction from Raphael, who came perilously close to causing serious harm. Subsequently, Raphael encountered Casey Jones, a sports-themed vigilante with a relentless drive to punish criminals. Their ideologies clashed, with Raphael observing that, to Casey, every crime seemed to warrant the harshest punishment. Despite their differences, the two eventually became close friends. However, the rationale behind Casey's vigilantism was reimagined in 2009. This change came when Tristan Hugh Jones suggested to Peter Laird the idea of incorporating Hun, also known as Hunter Mason, into the Mirage continuity. This character, created by Lloyd Goldfine and Peter Laird, originally debuted in the 2003 animated series. As Peter and Tristan discussed the potential story surrounding Hun, he was subsequently introduced in Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Volume 2, Issue 56, in March 2009 by Tristan Hugh Jones and Paul Harmon. Much like in the animated series, Hun was intrinsically tied to Casey Jones' backstory. As leader of the Purple Dragons, Hun once torched Casey's father's auto shop in Brooklyn. In an effort to protect his mother and sister during this crisis, Casey confronted Hun, but was grievously wounded. This brutal assault landed Casey in the hospital, causing head trauma that led to various psychological challenges. This explained Casey's unpredictable behavior. Having been isolated during his formative years due to his injuries, television became his sole companion and influence, hence the preservation of the bad TV element in his origin story. Reflecting on this retcon, one could argue that it stripped Casey Jones of what set him apart from other comic book vigilantes. However, it did provide richer backstories for both Casey and Hun. Fast forward to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Volume 1, Issue 10. Casey Jones heroically aided the Turtles, Splinter, and April during their skirmish against the Foot Clan at the Second Time Around shop. This story was later adapted into the 1990 film. Seeking recovery, the group retreated to Casey's grandmother's farm in Northampton. The choice of location was influenced by the fact that Mirage Studios was located there. The writers were more familiar with the setting than with New York, which they found challenging to authentically portray in their stories. While recovering at the farm, they were unexpectedly visited by Casey's cousin Sid and his friends, who were on the hunt for money stashed away from a crime their grandfather had perpetrated. This subplot unfolded in Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Volume 1, Issue 1 back in 1987. When the Turtles thwarted the gang, Casey faced off with Sid. It was later revealed that their grandmother had generously donated the hidden funds to various charitable causes. This story was later adapted into the 2003 animated series for its 4th season premiere. During their stay in Northampton, Casey and the Turtles embarked on numerous adventures, and it was during this period that April and Casey started having a casual romantic relationship. A romance that may have never happened if it weren't for the fact that they were running from the Foot Clan. On one fateful night, Casey got embroiled in a confrontation with a gang, inadvertently leading to one kid's death. Subsequently, Casey clashed with a street vigilante known as Nobody as he sought to clear his name. Recognizing Casey's actions as self-defense, Nobody chose to let him go. Nonetheless, this incident haunted Casey, emphasizing the dire consequences of crossing the line. Casey was never the same after this incident. Around that time, April grappled with the significant detours her life had taken since encountering the Turtles. Despite her seemingly casual relationship with Casey, she resolved to relocate to the West Coast, planning to stay with her sister. Learning of her departure, a determined Casey decided to pursue her. While on the road, Casey made a stop at a grill in Colorado for a meal. It was there he met Gabrielle, a waitress with whom he shared a pleasant conversation. However, after leaving the establishment, he was ambushed by 2 men who proceeded to steal his car. Gabrielle, showing kindness, brought Casey to her trailer and cared for him. Their bond grew, evolving into a romantic relationship. In time, Gabrielle confided in Casey, revealing she was 4 months pregnant from another man. Casey's feelings remained unwavering despite this revelation, leading the two to wed. But troubling nightmares soon plagued him. In them, he envisioned a more intimidating version of himself, one that would have effortlessly prevented the theft of his car. The recurring dream hinted that Casey's romantic involvements kept his more violent instincts in check, making him weak and ineffective. In this dream, he also saw a crying April, a reminder of how his trauma led him to abandon what made him start his journey in the first place. Sadly, Casey woke up from this nightmare to the tragic news that Gabrielle had passed away during childbirth. Now under Casey's care was her daughter, Shadow Jones. Sometime later, while back at the grill, Casey noticed his old car parked outside. Identifying the culprits who'd stolen it from him, he confronted them, reclaiming what was rightfully his. Returning to New York, Casey resettled in his mother's residence, introducing Shadow to her. His mother owned a 6-apartment building, which April considered purchasing as an investment, using the inheritance from her recently deceased father. It had been a quarter-century since Herb Jones's passing, and Casey's mother contemplated selling the property to relocate to Florida. In this context, April learned of Casey's relationship with the building's owner, leading to a long-awaited reunion between the two. Together again, Casey, April, and Shadow returned to Northampton, reuniting with the Turtles. As he grappled with the responsibilities of fatherhood, Casey continued to be haunted by disturbing dreams. Not long after relocating to the city, April was attacked by Baxter Stockman, and it fell upon Casey and the Turtles to safeguard her. Subsequently, during the events of the Body Count miniseries, Casey adopted a more patriotic mask. Though the story was an Image publication, it was initially a Mirage project and is thus accepted as canon. Notably, during the Image volume, Casey retained this new mask while offering his original one to Raphael, who had suffered facial injuries. During this story, Shadow was also abducted by Gabrielle's relatives. However, this storyline is not considered canon. In a heartfelt gesture, Casey proposed to April with his grandmother's heirloom ring. Coincidentally, the Foot Clan was in pursuit of the Heartstone, a potent talisman conferring immortality. Now aligned with the Foot Clan, Sid recognized the stone as the one embedded in his grandmother's ring. Sensing an opportunity for reward, he approached Casey. Discovering Casey's intentions to propose with the Heartstone, Sid and the clan ambushed him in Northampton. Despite the valiant efforts of the Turtles, the clan secured their prize and departed. Still, love triumphed as the couple celebrated their engagement with a substitute ring. As for Sid, the Foot Clan soon discerned the Heartstone was counterfeit. The clan's mystics subjected him to prolonged torture. As a result, Sid's appearance morphed into a golem-like figure, reminiscent of the Lord of the Rings movies. Through his suffering, Sid surmised that the ring itself bestowed immortality, explaining his survival amidst the relentless torment. Around the same period, Hun was released from prison amid the unfolding gang war saga. Casey tried to confront him, but Hun was stronger than him, and if it hadn't been for a nervous henchman, Casey would have died there. But Hun took a picture of his face, and before they knew it, Hun and his gang got into their home and held April at gunpoint. Casey was severely beaten, but the Turtles interrupted Hun and his gang right in time to save the day. This was part of the gang war saga that remains unfinished, given the cancellation of the book. The passage of time witnessed Casey and April, now a wedded couple, nurturing a teenage Shadow. But as I already explained in the Volume 4 video, Earth became a port of intergalactic trade, and aliens started living on the planet. One fortunate day, Shadow secured 3 tickets to a performance by Bleeboz, a transformative alien entertainer. During the act, while experimenting with a unique hat and using Casey as a participant, Bleeboz inadvertently transformed into the menacing entity haunting Casey's dreams. Face to face with this manifestation, Casey discovered that it represented his darker self, a merciless creature thriving on others' fear. In a desperate bid to shield his family, Casey unmasked the creature, restoring Bleeboz's original form. This ordeal brought clarity to Casey. His family was the strength that empowered him to confront and conquer his inner demons. During TMNT Volume 4, April and Casey's relationship stopped when April discovered she wasn't entirely human. April embarked on a personal quest for self-discovery, leaving Casey and Shadow in her wake. This departure deeply affected Casey, prompting him to roam the streets at night donning his mask. On one such night, he encountered a new nobody, who, to his surprise, was April. With a growing frustration, Casey found solace in alcohol. During one such inebriated escapade, he assisted the Foot Clan in thwarting a terrorist attack. As a token of appreciation, Karai extended an invitation for the severely drunk Casey to rest at her residence. Waking up with the haze of a hangover at Karai's, a groggy Casey sought clarity about the previous night's events. However, Karai remained elusive. After some restorative tea, Karai offered Casey a lift home. On the way, Casey asked her again about any potential intimate encounters between them. Karai refrained from responding directly, but did hint that his excessive drinking needed intervention. Upon reaching his apartment, Karai requested to use his restroom. Oblivious to April's imminent return, Casey granted her request. As the story's on hiatus, it's speculated that the next installment would have captured April's reaction to finding Karai in their apartment. The enigma of Karai's intentions remains. From as early as the 8th issue of that volume, she appeared interested in Casey. Yet it's unclear if her interest was romantic or strategic. Given the Foot Clan's increasingly complex relationship with the Turtles, her motivations could have leaned in either direction. The most intriguing aspect of the original Casey Jones is his evolution from a vigilante to a father and his struggle to rein in his darker tendencies, striving to be a better individual. Although his reimagined backstory involving Hun took something unique from Casey away, it gave his side of the TMNT universe more depth and history. What's your take on the Hun origin? Share your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching. See you in the sewers.